first of all, let me go to the elephant in the room. Will we see, with your call, a hard landing in China?
It is not clear that they are going to have a hard landing, Tom, but from my meetings in Beijing, Shanghai, and Hong Kong just 10 days ago, it seems clear that the economy is slowing a lot more than the GDP number of 7.5 would suggest. I don't think there is a hard landing yet in the picture. The reason is that they still have close to $4 trillion worth of foreign exchange reserves. And the ability to bail out stock markets and companies.
In part of that is the foreign exchange solution. When you get global tensions and Lagarde's new mediocre, FX can solve anything. Do you just look for a currency war and essentially currency depreciation to be the solution of choice?
I think currency depreciation also in China is a policy conclusion. It is not unlike Greece, which once it leaves the Eurozone would have a problem, or Russia, where the ruble has depreciated since the middle of 2014, Tom. The Chinese have so much of firepower in terms of foreign exchange holdings that whether they depreciate the renminbi or not is very much left to them. And actually, they are playing a game making sure that people don't take money out of the country. And therefore, I don't think you're going to see a straight line depreciation. It didn't happen during the 1997 Asian crisis when the Chinese held on to the exchange rate. And I think pretty much that's what I anticipate.
Sri, does having that kind of Forex in your pocket prevent you from making reforms that you desperately need to make?
And that could be Russia as well.
Russia as well, but sticking with China, you know, the events of the last month, failure to be included in the MSCI, for example, you know, there is clearly work there to be done. And if you can bail out your own stock markets whenever you want, is that preventing them from doing that work?
In fact, what I found, Brendan, was I was in Asia when the MSCI decision took place. There is clearly a conflict for the government faces between reforms, which means you should allow some of the companies to go bankrupt, the local governments to go bankrupt and default on their debts, and which in turn would have a negative consequence for economic growth. So the government keeps moving between the two objectives, between reform on the one hand and the economic growth on the other, which is why you see the stock market shooting up both on the Shenzhen exchange and the Shanghai Stock Exchange, and today alone falling very sharply as it did a few days ago on a Thursday. And I think you're going to see that conflict continue to persist. I think that's not going to go away for the government.